Welcome back to Myths Unraveled. Like and subscribe if you enjoy this video. Barbatos is a figure of both mystery and power within the context of Christian demonology, holding the rank of both an earl and a duke in hell. This dual position grants him not only substantial authority in the infernal hierarchy, but also a sense of command over various forces that can be employed for his benefit and the benefit of his infernal master. To understand the role of Barbatos, one must consider the significance of his titles and what they imply about his function and influence within the cosmos of hell. The complexities of his rank and his authority create a foundation for his interactions with both demons and humans, as well as his manipulation of various events and forces. The title of Earl typically implies a certain level of governance, one that places the individual in charge of territories or domains. As an Earl in Hell, Barbatos would have control over a specific portion of Hell's realm, possibly with responsibility for overseeing its demonic denizens. This might suggest that he has dominion over a particular region of Hell, perhaps one that is linked to the natural world, given his affinity for animals and nature. This territorial power would mean that Barbatos is not only an influential figure within the ranks of Hell's hierarchy, but also someone who possesses resources, minions, and control over specific domains. He could act as an intermediary between higher-ranking demons and the lesser beings that populate Hell, using his position to maintain order or, conversely, sow chaos. Barbatos, in his role as a duke, elevates his status even further. The title of duke carries with it an association with military might, political strategy, and command over vast areas. This suggests that Barbatos' influence may extend beyond mere governance to the realms of warfare and strategy, particularly within Hell's convoluted internal struggles. As a duke, Barbatos might be entrusted with leading legions of demons, possibly using his resources to carry out missions that serve the goals of Hell itself or the whims of the devil. This role would likely position him as one of the more influential figures in Hell's military hierarchy, giving him power over both the physical and metaphysical forces at play in the underworld. His strategic mind, combined with his ability to manipulate situations, makes him a dangerous force, capable of bending outcomes to his will. Barbatos' role as both an earl and a duke also suggests that he operates on multiple levels, juggling both administrative and military responsibilities. This would make him a key player in the ongoing machinations within Hell. Given the numerous rivalries, power struggles, and alliances that characterize Hell's structure, Barbatos may be caught in a complex web of political intrigue, constantly shifting allegiances or working toward his own goals. His ability to switch between governance and military leadership means that he can quickly adapt to changing circumstances, taking advantage of opportunities for power or undermining those who stand in his way. This adaptability is crucial in an environment where the balance of power can shift rapidly. In addition to his practical influence within the realm of Hell, Barbatos' role also has metaphysical implications. His authority as a duke and earl gives him a unique insight into the workings of the cosmos. He may be able to see beyond the physical world into the spiritual realm, understanding the interconnections between souls, fates, and the forces of nature. This insight into the spiritual dimension allows him to manipulate not only the physical world, but also the unseen forces that govern it. It is said that he has the ability to influence both demons and humans, guiding them toward hidden treasures or foretelling their futures. This makes him a significant figure in the cosmic drama, with his actions having consequences that stretch far beyond the confines of Hell. Barbatos' influence as both an earl and a duke also sets him apart from other demonic figures. While many demons hold specific roles tied to their powers, such as temptation, corruption, or destruction, Barbatos operates in a more nuanced and strategic capacity. His dual titles suggest a being who is not only involved in direct manipulation, but also in the larger, more complex political and spiritual mechanisms that govern the universe. This gives him a level of sophistication and versatility that many other demons lack. His ability to navigate these complex dynamics, whether in Hell's politics or in the lives of mortals, makes him an unpredictable and dangerous figure. The duality of his nature as both an earl and a duke also opens up possibilities for exploring his internal conflicts and struggles. Does Barbatos ever question his role within Hell's hierarchy, or is he fully committed to the system of power and control that sustains the infernal realm? His position might bring with it moments of doubt, especially as he confronts his own desires for power or seeks to find meaning in the complex relationships he navigates. This internal struggle could add depth to his character, showing that even beings of immense power are not immune to the same questions that afflict mortals. Exploring this aspect of Barbatos would offer an opportunity to humanize the character, making him more relatable and providing layers of conflict that resonate on a deeper level. In stories where Barbatos takes a central role, his position as an earl and duke can be a focal point for exploring the themes of power, control, and the corrupting influence of authority. His capacity to shape events and manipulate the course of fate allows him to embody the dangers of unchecked ambition and the moral compromises that come with power. His actions, while strategic and calculated, might raise questions about the ethics of using one's abilities for personal gain or in service to a greater cause. Whether his manipulations serve Hell's grand design or his own selfish desires, Barbatos remains a compelling figure, caught between the forces of ambition and the temptation to wield power for its own sake. Furthermore, Barbatos' dual titles offer an avenue for examining his relationships with other demonic entities, both subordinates and superiors. As an earl, he may have subordinates who report to him, including lesser demons and entities that serve his will. This dynamic allows for exploration of the hierarchical structures of Hell, as well as the tensions that arise within them. Barbatos' interactions with these subordinates could reveal his leadership style, his ability to inspire loyalty, or his propensity to manipulate others for his own purposes. In contrast, his role as a duke might place him in a more competitive relationship with other high-ranking demons, with Barbatos vying for influence or seeking to outmaneuver his rivals in the political landscape of Hell. These relationships offer opportunities to explore themes of loyalty, betrayal, and ambition, as well as the consequences of crossing or defying powerful figures within Hell's hierarchy. In terms of his personal motivations, Barbatos' position as both an earl and a duke suggests that his goals are likely multifaceted. While he may act as a servant of Hell, carrying out the will of a higher power, there is also room for personal ambition and desire. Perhaps he seeks to elevate his position within Hell, or even rebel against the infernal order itself. Alternatively, his motivations might stem from a desire for recognition or the pursuit of eternal glory. His actions may reveal that his role as an earl and duke is merely a means to an end, a stepping stone toward a greater ambition that transcends the confines of his current position. His thirst for power, knowledge, or even freedom could drive him to take risks and make bold moves, all in an effort to secure a place of greater significance in the grand design of Hell and the universe. Barbatos' position in the infernal hierarchy also makes him a key player in stories involving the struggle between good and evil, fate and free will. As an earl and duke, he is involved in the larger cosmic game, influencing both the demonic forces and the human realm. His ability to manipulate the lives of humans, foretell their futures, and lead them to hidden treasures, means that he holds a considerable degree of control over their destinies. This places him in direct opposition to the forces of divine order, creating a dynamic of conflict and power struggles that can shape the course of events. Whether Barbatos is portrayed as a villain, an anti-hero, or a morally ambiguous figure, his dual roles within Hell's hierarchy provide a rich foundation for exploring the deeper themes of power, fate, and the choices that define the cosmos. In conclusion, Barbatos' position as an Earl and Duke of Hell is central to his identity and his influence in both the infernal realm and the mortal world. His dual titles offer a unique perspective on his character, one that combines political power, military leadership, and spiritual insight. His ability to navigate the complex dynamics of Hell's hierarchy, as well as his power to influence the world beyond, makes him a compelling and dangerous figure. Through his role as both an administrator and a commander, Barbatos becomes a symbol of the consequences of power, the ambitions that drive beings to seek control, and the relationships that define the structure of Hell. Barbatos' ability to speak with animals is a rare and remarkable power that sets him apart from many other demons in Christian demonology. This ability holds deep significance, not only in terms of Barbatos' interaction with the natural world, but also in how it reflects his unique connection to the cosmic order. As a being who is both an earl and a duke, Barbatos' relationship with animals speaks to his command over the hidden forces of nature and his role in shaping the world beyond the human realm. It also offers a rich avenue for exploration in a narrative, as this skill intertwines with his dominion over both the physical and metaphysical realms. To begin understanding Barbatos' gift of communicating with animals, it is important to consider the broader implications of this ability in the context of myth and folklore. In various mythological traditions, the ability to converse with animals is often a mark of special wisdom or otherworldly power. For example, the gods and figures in many cultures who possess this ability are often seen as possessing a deep understanding of the natural world, not just in terms of its material components, but also in the spiritual forces that govern life, death, and growth. By speaking with animals, Barbatos is not merely communicating with a lower form of life, but instead he is tapping into the primal, instinctual forces that form the foundation of existence. Animals, in many mythological traditions, are symbolic representations of various forces, archetypes, and energies. They are often viewed as messengers of gods, spirits, or forces of nature, their behaviors and movements conveying meaning that transcends human understanding. Barbatos' ability to understand and converse with these creatures thus marks him as someone who is attuned to the deeper mysteries of the universe, one who can see beyond the surface of things and access knowledge that is hidden to most others. This power allows him to understand the subtle language of the natural world, interpreting the movements of the animals as signs and omens that can influence the course of events. In stories involving Barbatos, this ability to speak with animals could become a powerful tool in his pursuit of influence and control. He may use animals as intermediaries, gathering information or subtly guiding the actions of humans or other creatures. For example, Barbatos might send animals to spy on important figures, gathering intelligence on their plans or weaknesses. He could also influence the behavior of certain animals to direct or manipulate events, using their instincts to serve his purposes. In this way, animals become unwitting agents of his will, carrying out his bidding without even realizing that they are part of a larger scheme. This manipulation of nature is a testament to Barbatos' strategic thinking, as he uses all the resources at his disposal, both physical and metaphysical, to achieve his goals. Furthermore, Barbatos' ability to communicate with animals ties him to the concept of the natural world order, which is often a central theme in stories about powerful beings. In many mythologies, the natural world is not seen as separate from the divine or spiritual realm, but as intrinsically linked to it. Barbatos' command over the animal kingdom thus positions him as someone who can influence the balance of nature, perhaps altering the course of seasons, guiding migration patterns, or even manipulating the behavior of specific creatures. This would give him immense power over both the physical and metaphysical realms, as he could shape the very forces of nature to serve his needs. For example, in a story where Barbatos seeks to shift the balance of power in a certain region, he might use his ability to communicate with animals to manipulate the local wildlife. By sending wolves to attack a town or guiding a flock of ravens to obscure the sky, he could create chaos and uncertainty, disrupting human society and establishing himself as a force to be reckoned with. In this sense, Barbatos would be able to wield nature itself as a weapon, a tool for manipulation that extends far beyond the traditional powers of demons and spirits. Barbatos' relationship with animals also suggests a deeper spiritual connection between him and the natural world. In many cultures, animals are seen as embodiments of specific spiritual forces or guides. The owl, for example, might be associated with wisdom and knowledge, while the snake could symbolize transformation or danger. Barbatos' ability to communicate with such creatures indicates that he has access to the spiritual wisdom that they represent. This connection allows him to understand the hidden currents of power that govern the world, from the flow of time to the ebb and flow of energy within the natural realm. He is able to tap into these forces through his conversations with animals, using their symbolic meaning to gain insight into the future, uncover hidden truths, or make predictions about the fate of individuals or events. In this way, Barbatos' role as a speaker of animals can be understood as a manifestation of his greater role as a guide to the hidden knowledge of the universe. His power is not just in his ability to control and manipulate physical entities, but in his connection to the deeper, more enigmatic currents of existence. By understanding the language of animals, Barbatos taps into a primal wisdom that allows him to navigate the complexities of the world with foresight and precision. He can therefore predict the outcomes of human actions or divine interventions, making him a valuable asset in the ongoing power struggles of hell and the mortal realm. The narrative implications of Barbatos' ability to speak with animals are vast. This skill allows him to operate in ways that other demons or even gods might not, as he can act as both a guide and a manipulator of the natural world. He may use his control over animals to influence the behavior of humans, guiding them toward hidden treasures or leading them into dangerous traps. In a story, this could manifest in various ways, such as Barbatos sending a flock of birds to lead a hero to a mystical object, or conversely, using a pack of wolves to terrorize a town and force its inhabitants into submission. The complexity of his character grows when one considers that he is not simply a malevolent force, but a figure who can operate within the natural laws of the world to further his own ends. Another fascinating aspect of Barbatos' ability to speak with animals is its potential to connect him with the human characters in a more intimate and personal way. Unlike other demonic figures who might only interact with humans through manipulation or force, Barbatos' connection to the animal world might allow him to engage with individuals on a deeper level, particularly those who are more attuned to the natural world. In a story, he might form an unlikely alliance with a character who has a special bond with animals or who possesses an affinity for nature. This shared connection could lead to complex dynamics, as Barbatos' motives and actions come into conflict with the moral inclinations of those who seek to protect the balance of nature. This thematic exploration can delve into the interplay between the wild and the civilized, between the natural world and the human-created order. Barbatos, as a figure who walks the line between the demonic and the natural, embodies this tension, straddling both worlds in a way that invites questions about the nature of power and control. His ability to communicate with animals is not simply a symbol of his dominion over nature, but also a representation of the ways in which nature itself can be co-opted, controlled, and bent to serve the will of a higher power. In stories involving Barbatos, one might explore the relationship between the natural world and human ambition. Barbatos, with his control over animals, becomes a figure who can either protect the natural order or corrupt it for his own purposes. In a world where humans strive to master and control nature, Barbatos could act as both a reflection and a challenge to these desires. His ability to speak with animals could serve as a reminder that despite human attempts to dominate the earth, there are forces beyond their comprehension, forces that Barbatos commands, with the potential to either serve or destroy. The power of Barbatos as a speaker of animals ultimately points to the idea that knowledge and influence are not always wielded in overt or forceful ways. His power lies in subtlety, in understanding the hidden mechanisms of nature and the forces that govern the unseen world. By speaking to animals, Barbatos can influence the tides of fate, shifting the course of events with quiet precision. His ability to understand the primal forces of nature allows him to manipulate the outcomes of human actions, making him a figure whose influence extends far beyond his appearances or actions. His power lies not just in his ability to speak, but in his understanding of the deeper hidden forces that shape reality itself. Barbatos, a powerful demon in Christian demonology, is often depicted as a guide to hidden treasures and a force capable of influencing fate, wealth, and knowledge. His power to lead men to treasures is one of his most notable abilities and one that carries deep symbolism within both the mythological and spiritual realms. This aspect of his character introduces a dimension of allure, temptation, and the complex relationship between material wealth, knowledge, and spiritual power. To explore this, we must first examine the role that treasure has played in various mythologies, religious texts, and cultural traditions. In many cultures, treasure is not just a symbol of material wealth, but also a sign of power and divine favor. It represents the hidden forces of the universe, things that are concealed from the mortal eye, and reserved for those who possess the right qualities, whether those be wisdom, purity, strength, or cunning. Barbatos' ability to guide individuals toward hidden treasures reflects his profound connection to these hidden realms, offering a glimpse into a world where knowledge and material wealth intertwine. His role as a guide to treasures speaks to a much broader theme of hidden knowledge, the pursuit of enlightenment, and the journey towards self-discovery. Treasure, in many mythologies, is often associated with secret or forbidden knowledge. The legendary quests for treasure, such as those undertaken by heroes like Jason, Odysseus, or King Arthur, often have an underlying theme of spiritual or intellectual discovery, not just the acquisition of gold or jewels. These treasures are typically guarded by trials, creatures, or beings who challenge the hero's integrity, wisdom, or resolve. Barbatos, as a demonic figure, can be seen as a metaphorical gatekeeper to this hidden knowledge, leading individuals to riches that are far more than material. His treasures could represent profound spiritual truths or forgotten secrets of the universe, knowledge that could either elevate the seeker or destroy them depending on their intentions. The idea of Barbatos leading someone to treasure could therefore be explored as a dual-edged sword. On the one hand, it may offer great rewards, but on the other, it could come at a significant cost. Barbatos is not a benign force. His assistance in obtaining treasure is always a calculated move. To seek out treasure under his guidance could mean surrendering to his power or being bound by the consequences of this newfound knowledge. This is central to the nature of Barbatos' role as a demon who influences the world's material and spiritual realms. He serves as a guide, but his guidance is never without a price, and those who follow him must be wary of the traps that may lie ahead. This idea of hidden knowledge and spiritual wealth connects deeply to the broader concept of temptation. In many religious and mythological stories, the pursuit of treasure is a symbol of human greed, desire, and the search for fulfillment outside of one's own spiritual journey. Barbatos, as a figure who can lead to these treasures, becomes both an enabler and a tempter, offering a glimpse of what lies beyond the veil while subtly pushing individuals toward their own ruin. His role in leading people toward treasure parallels the way temptation operates in religious narratives. It entices the seeker with the promise of something greater, only to later reveal that the price for this knowledge or wealth is far higher than anticipated. Barbatos' guidance toward hidden treasures is often seen through the lens of his role as a Duke of Hell. He is a figure who exists within the underworld, a place that is intrinsically linked to both knowledge and corruption. The treasures he leads individuals to are not of the mundane world, but instead belong to the mystical, the occult, or the arcane. His treasures could be hidden in places that are outside of time, tucked away in the depths of the earth, or in secret realms that lie beyond human comprehension. These treasures are often not easily obtained and require more than just physical strength or intelligence to uncover. They demand a certain level of spiritual understanding, and those who seek them must be prepared to confront not only external obstacles, but also their own inner demons. This aspect of Barbatos as a guide to treasure brings into focus the importance of the seeker's character. In a story about Barbatos, the individuals who seek his help may be driven by different motives. Some may be purely materialistic, desiring wealth for personal gain, while others may seek knowledge, power, or immortality. Barbatos' ability to discern the true nature of these seekers is an important element in his role as a demonic figure. He is not simply a guide who leads anyone to treasure, rather he selects those who are worthy or who serve his greater purpose. His role as a tempter is most effective when he can manipulate the desires of others, drawing them into his web by promising them what they crave most, whether that is wealth, power, or the secrets of the universe. However, Barbatos does not offer these treasures freely. The seekers must first prove themselves worthy, not through traditional means of merit, but through their ability to face the challenges he sets before them. These challenges could take many forms: a test of moral integrity, a trial of physical endurance, or an intellectual puzzle that requires the seeker to outwit Barbatos himself. This places Barbatos in direct opposition to the seeker's will, forcing them to confront their weaknesses, fears, and desires before they can attain the prize they seek. The idea that one must sacrifice something in order to obtain the treasure is central to Barbatos' role. This sacrifice could come in many forms: loss of innocence, the giving up of personal integrity, or a more literal price such as a part of one's soul. In this way, Barbatos serves as a metaphor for the ultimate cost of ambition. The treasure Barbatos leads individuals to could also be symbolic of knowledge and understanding that transcends the material world. In some traditions, treasure is not just gold and jewels, but secret wisdom, forbidden knowledge, or ancient truths. To seek treasure in the form of knowledge is to seek power over time, over life and death, or over the forces that govern existence. Barbatos, as a demon with dominion over hidden knowledge, can lead people to such treasures, but the knowledge comes with its own dangers. The acquisition of profound knowledge often leads to a loss of innocence, an understanding of the darker aspects of life that cannot be easily undone. In this sense, Barbatos' treasure is not just wealth, it is a dangerous gift that changes the seeker forever. The treasures Barbatos leads others to might also embody different kinds of power. For example, Barbatos could lead a seeker to a treasure that grants them the ability to control the elements, summon spirits, or gain insight into the hearts and minds of others. These abilities come with great responsibility, and the cost of obtaining them might involve a deal with Barbatos himself, one that may bind the seeker to the demon in ways that are not immediately apparent. Such powers may come with the promise of great influence, but they could also serve as a form of subtle enslavement, a reminder that the power Barbatos offers is not without strings attached. In the broader narrative of Barbatos as a demon of hell, his association with treasure can also be understood as a commentary on the nature of human desire and ambition. The pursuit of treasure in many ways is a metaphor for the human search for meaning and purpose. People often seek external validation or material gain in the belief that these things will provide fulfillment. Barbatos, as a figure who can lead them to such treasures, embodies the false promise that wealth or knowledge can satisfy the deepest yearnings of the soul. His guidance can be seen as a warning against the dangers of unchecked desire, reminding seekers that the treasures they chase may ultimately lead them astray, entangling them in a web of manipulation and despair. Thus, the treasure Barbatos offers is not just a material object or a finite reward, it is part of a larger process of temptation and self-discovery. His role as a guide to hidden treasure introduces the theme of the seeker's inner journey. The quest for wealth, power, or knowledge is as much about confronting one's own weaknesses and desires as it is about achieving external goals. Barbatos, with his deep understanding of the human psyche, knows how to play on these desires, guiding the seeker to their fate with a subtle hand. However, the treasure at the end of the journey often comes with unexpected consequences, forcing the seeker to face the true cost of their ambitions. Barbatos' role as a leader who can tell the future is one of his most fascinating and compelling characteristics. The power to foresee future events, to read the paths that individuals will take, and the outcomes that await them, places Barbatos in a unique position in the realm of demonic influence. This ability ties him not only to the metaphysical forces that govern the world, but also to the human understanding of fate, free will, and the very nature of time itself. The notion of foresight, of being able to glimpse the future, has long held a special place in both mythological and religious traditions. In these traditions, those who can perceive the future are often seen as possessing godlike wisdom or an intimate connection to the divine order. For Barbatos, this power is not simply a gift, it is a tool that he uses to manipulate the threads of fate, to influence the course of history, and to position himself within the ever-shifting tides of the cosmos. His ability to see into the future represents his mastery over time and events, making him a formidable force whose influence extends far beyond the present moment. To understand the significance of Barbatos's prophetic abilities, it is essential to first consider the nature of time and how it is perceived in many mythological systems. Time is often seen not as a linear progression from past to present to future, but as a complex web of interwoven events, forces, and destinies. In some traditions, time is cyclical, with events repeating in endless patterns, while in others, it is seen as a river that flows inexorably forward, carrying everything in its current. Barbatos's ability to tell the future suggests that he is not bound by the ordinary constraints of time. He can see beyond the veil of the present moment, perceiving outcomes and events that have yet to come to pass. This allows him to navigate the world with a unique perspective, one that is grounded not in the immediate or the tangible, but in the larger patterns that govern the universe. This ability to tell the future gives Barbatos a significant edge in the pursuit of his goals. Unlike other demons or mortal beings, Barbatos does not have to rely on mere chance or intuition to guide his actions. He can see the consequences of his decisions before they unfold, allowing him to plan his moves with great precision. This foresight also enables him to manipulate situations to his advantage, ensuring that the outcomes align with his desires. His knowledge of the future can make him a master strategist, one who can outmaneuver his rivals and steer events in his favor with little more than subtle nudges and calculated moves. One of the most intriguing aspects of Barbatos's ability to predict the future is its connection to the concept of fate. In many mythologies, fate is portrayed as an immutable force, something that cannot be changed or avoided, no matter how hard one might try. Those who are bound by fate are often portrayed as powerless to alter their course, caught in the inexorable pull of destiny. Barbatos, however, operates differently. While he may be able to predict the future with great accuracy, it is not always clear whether he is bound by the same rules as those who are subject to fate. He seems to occupy a space outside of the traditional concept of destiny, able to foresee the paths that others will walk, but also capable of influencing them to follow a different course. This duality creates an intriguing tension within Barbatos's character. On the one hand, he is a creature of great power, able to see into the future and use that knowledge to shape events to his will. On the other hand, he is also a figure who is not entirely free from the forces of fate, for his power is still constrained by the larger cosmic order. He may be able to see the future, but he cannot necessarily change it at will. In this sense, Barbatos represents both the promise and the limitation of knowledge. He can see the future, but that knowledge comes with its own burdens. The future is not a blank slate that can be rewritten with the stroke of a pen. Instead, it is a web of interconnected events, each one influencing and shaping the next. In a narrative, Barbatos's prophetic abilities could create complex and morally ambiguous situations. A character who seeks his guidance might be drawn into a dangerous game of fate and free will, unsure of whether they are in control of their own destiny, or whether they are simply following the path that Barbatos has already seen. This tension between fate and free will is a central theme in many stories, particularly those that explore the consequences of knowledge and the limits of human agency. Barbatos, with his ability to see the future, could serve as both a guide and a manipulator, offering glimpses of what is to come while subtly steering individuals toward particular outcomes. The question of whether Barbatos's knowledge of the future is a gift or a curse is one that could be explored in great depth. On the surface, his ability to tell the future may seem like a powerful asset, one that could be used to gain wealth, power, and influence. But the burden of knowing what is to come could also weigh heavily on him. If Barbatos is able to see the future, he is also aware of the limitations and constraints that exist within it. He knows the mistakes that will be made, the suffering that will unfold, and the consequences that will arise from the actions of those around him. This awareness of the future could make him a tragic figure, one who is caught between the desire to change events and the knowledge that such changes may be impossible. Barbatos's knowledge of the future could also make him a figure of immense psychological complexity. While other demons or characters might act impulsively or out of self-interest, Barbatos's foresight gives him a sense of detachment, as though he is watching events unfold from a distance. This distance allows him to remain calm and calculated, able to manipulate situations without being caught up in the emotions or passions of those around him. However, it could also make him a figure who is disconnected from the human experience, someone who is not fully able to relate to the struggles and desires of mortals. In this sense, Barbatos could be seen as a tragic figure, someone who possesses great knowledge but is ultimately unable to connect with those whose lives he touches. Another important aspect of Barbatos's ability to predict the future is its potential for manipulation. In many stories, characters who possess knowledge of the future use that knowledge to manipulate the actions of others, leading them down paths that serve the manipulator's interests. Barbatos, with his power to foresee future events, could use this knowledge to subtly guide individuals toward particular outcomes. This could involve tempting them with the promise of wealth, power, or success, all while knowing that these rewards will come at a heavy cost. In this way, Barbatos becomes a master manipulator, able to control the actions of others by revealing just enough of the future to influence their decisions without fully revealing the consequences of those decisions. In stories involving Barbatos, the question of whether he is a benevolent figure or a malevolent one could be explored in various ways. While he may offer guidance to those who seek it, his knowledge of the future is not always a clear blessing. He may offer advice or direction, but he does so with an awareness of the larger cosmic forces at play. In this sense, Barbatos's actions could be seen as morally ambiguous, as he may be both helping and hindering individuals at the same time. His role as a prophet and manipulator creates a dynamic of uncertainty, where his true motivations are difficult to discern. Barbatos's ability to predict the future also brings with it the possibility of paradox. If he knows the future with such certainty, then can the future be changed at all? Or does his knowledge create a self-fulfilling prophecy, where the very act of knowing the future causes it to unfold as he has seen it? This raises important questions about the nature of fate and free will, and whether it is possible to alter the course of destiny once it has been foretold. Barbatos, as a being who exists outside of traditional time and fate, might be able to navigate these paradoxes with ease, but for mortals who seek his counsel, the experience could be one of confusion and disillusionment. Ultimately, Barbatos's ability to tell the future underscores the complexity and uncertainty of life itself. While knowledge of the future can provide power and direction, it can also lead to a sense of helplessness and inevitability. Barbatos, as a figure who bridges the realms of the mortal and the divine, serves as a reminder that the future is both known and unknowable, a realm where even the most powerful beings must confront the limits of their understanding. His gift of foresight is both a blessing and a curse, a power that offers glimpses of what is to come while leaving the true nature of the future forever out of reach. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Like and subscribe for more, and stay curious.